Hey everybody. Today I would like to open up the Jeskai Striker Tarkir Commander set. I got us a cool little box to go in and some sleeves, the Aurora color sleeves. Thought it would be a nice gift for my fiance so that we could kind of get into this Tarkir set that just came out. I do already have the Mardu one, and I've been making some upgrades to that, and I would like to make a video about that. So if you are interested in hearing that, or seeing that, rather, just let me know. Leave a comment. We'll go through them. I've never used these or seen these. This color, it's kind of like teal, light teal color. Thought it would be cool for Jeskai, this kind of white, blue, and red thing. Okay. So if you've never opened a commander deck before, this is your first time. Comes with some stuff. Comes with this cardboard box for a deck box, as well as a bunch of promo stuff. It comes with a collector sample, and then of course the actual deck. I won't talk a whole lot through each of these cards. We're just gonna kind of open them up, sleeve them up, look at them, all the cool stuff. Let's open up this collector's booster. If you go out and buy this deck, this is the only thing that will be different from you and I, is what you get in this little sample booster. So I got Lacid Prowler, I believe is how you say that. When this creature enters, you may mill cards equal to the number of lands you control. Cool snake. Cool snake. Then we got Breaching Dragonstorm. When this card enters, exile cards to your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast it without paying its mana if that spell's mana value is 8 or less. If you don't put that card in your hand. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. So it's like a pretty cool dragon card. I believe if I can reach off camera, I have some. Oh, I have a red sleeve. Okay. Well, let's put this Breaching Dragonstorm in a red sleeve, and we'll just put this Prowler in a teal sleeve. I'll have to look up if these are worth anything after the video. Not entirely sure. Well, let's open up this Jeskai Strikers deck. So the face commander is Shiko and Narset unified. I always do this. I tried to start opening it from the top, but they put this little very satisfying peel on it. Again, if you've maybe never played Commander, this is your first, you're looking at getting a deck to get into. Obviously, you can buy these Commander decks. They come with a face commander, so we'll say Shiko and Narset, for example, is our face commander. This is who's like on the front of the box. And then Elsha, Threefold Master, is our backup commander. So both cards kind of have something to do with the deck. Both cards can be played as your main commander guy and still have a functioning cohesive deck. to my understanding, I've heard probably the least spoke about for this Jeskai deck. There were 5 decks that came out for Tarkir, and there were some heavy hitters. There were some big deals coming out. But I think that meant that this Jeskai deck kind of got, I don't want to say left in the dust, but I'm not sure that what this had going on was as crazy. I know I have a friend who has the Teamer Precon and has upgraded it a little bit already. And just from the little bit that he's played of that deck, it's kind of a crazy game playing with that. And there was also, so let me back up. The Teamer deck, if you don't know, is really, I think out of all of them, probably the most dragon centric, I would say. The Mardu one is kind of a token based deck. To my understanding, this Jeskai one is very combat and instant and sorcery spell based. The Sultai one, like a lot of Sultai, is very graveyard driven, milling zombies. And that's the other one that I heard a lot of good things about. I think the 2 heavy hitters coming out of this set was the Sultai deck and the Teamer deck. And then you had the Jeskai deck and the Mardu deck and the Abzan deck. And the Abzan one, I think, got a lot of focus on it because it had a pretty cool gimmick in the defender pull, or the defender kind of basis. So the commander in that deck lets you switch or assigns combat damage based on creature toughness under your control as opposed to creature power. So you can just kind of get these big beefy guys out. Very cool idea. So you have this milling Sultai deck, this dragon drawing Teamer deck, and then the Sultai deck, the Jeskai deck being instant and sorcery kind of themed. Shiko and Narset saying, when you cast your second spell each turn, copy that spell if it targets a permanent or player, and you may choose new targets for that copy. If you don't copy a spell this way, draw a card. So a lot of copying going around, obviously. And the Mardu deck being token based and utilizing Mobilize as its shtick. Created a really interesting 5 commander deck release where really everything that was coming out was was very interesting. Had a lot going on. Very cool. I'm a big fan of a deck that has a gimmick. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm playing Atraxa. For example, I made a video on my Atraxa deck, which if you've seen that video, I immediately went and changed that deck later that week and added a lot more cards to it that are better suited for that deck. So if you're interested in seeing that, comment below. But that deck, I would not say has a gimmick. It's good. Obviously, it's one of the most popular commanders of all time. So by no means do I want to imply that it's not good. But I don't really feel like that is a gimmick. Putting +1/+1 counters in proliferating, or putting poison counters in proliferating, I don't necessarily think is a gimmick. I think that is a combat feature that has been pushed to its limits, right? I wouldn't say that's a gimmick. By gimmick, I mean, for example, I have a Xyrus the Writhing Storm deck, which I'm a big fan of, and I would love to do a video on soon. As you can see, I have a lot of big ideas, big plans, not a whole lot of time. Xyrus, if you're unfamiliar, it's a flying 3/5 snake, Leviathan, I think. Whenever he deals combat damage to an opponent, you both draw that many cards equal to its power. Or whenever Xyrus does combat damage, you both draw cards. And then whenever your opponent draws a card, you make a snake. So that is a commander that I would say has a gimmick. The gimmick being, it's a little bit of group hug, it's a little bit of combat. You and I are going to both draw a ton of cards. And I love that deck because you can draw your opponent out and mill them out. You can draw yourself out and mill yourself out with cards like Laboratory Maniac or Jace. Anything that says if you would draw and you have no deck, you win. Or I can deal combat damage to you because I'm going to make a million snakes and attack you with a million snakes. Or I can deal damage to you or gain life to myself equal to the number of cards in my hand. Like, there's a lot going on based on this kind of group hug gimmick. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that gimmick. I showed my Crinkle Mob Boss deck on this channel. I think it was one of the first Magic videos I did. Again, I don't think that's a gimmick. I think that's a feature turned on to a million, as opposed to my fiance has a Ishin deck that is whenever a combat, whenever a permanent would be triggered by attacking, something along those lines, resolve that trigger twice. I think that's a gimmick. You're gonna attack with a weird combination of creatures in weird ways, especially utilizing the samurai and the warrior features to okay, I'm going to attack with just this one warrior. That's going to give me an extra combat. It's going to give me +2/+2 twice. It's going to be done like I think that's a gimmick. I'm a big fan of those decks. Maybe Ishin is a bad example because I'm about to say that a lot of times I don't think that the gimmicky kind of decks are as good as something like Atrexa or the Dragon or Crinkle Mob Boss. But if you're going to play a casual commander game with some of your guys around the table or gals around the table, anybody in a casual setting, it's just so much funnier to have a gimmick deck, even if it is I think this the skin thinner is it's a blue monocolor horror. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong name. Whenever you would deal combat damage to a player, they mill that many cards instead. Hilarious. So much more fun than I'm going to deal 45 damage to you. Instead, you're going to mill 18 cards. And it kind of puts this pressure on the game of like just making it. I think a gimmick is truly a gimmick when it makes you approach and play the game of Commander in a way that is atypical of how you would normally play. So, you figure you have a main phase, you're going to attack, you're going to have your second main, and then you're going to have an end step. Like, if you are doing something, if you have to think about the game other than, I'm going to start, I'm going to play the card, I'm going to attack, I'm going to play some more cards, I'm going to, like, okay, now I have to think about, like, how like, quickly can I play the game before something, like, messed up happens over on my opponent's side of the field. Or I'm a big fan of cards like Scrambleverse. That's a card that I added to my Goblin deck since I made my video on it. And I'm a big fan of those kinds of cards because are they super annoying and obnoxious and more often than not slow the game down? Yes, absolutely. And that's not really arguable. However, it makes things really interesting. And I think that at the end of the day, like, you want to play a game that's interesting. I am not super focused on winning. I think the magic, the magic of the game is the playing the game. And it's difficult because sometimes you will go and meet people at your local game store or put yourself out there and play with people who want to win, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as somebody who cares more about the game, the interaction of the game, this kind of look at what I can do in this game. At the end of the day, if you're doing something like interesting and cool, I am more than okay with losing, honestly. If you pull out some crazy, if you play Crinkle Mob Boss and what is it, Staff of Thornbite Staff, and you get in a sack outlet and you're doing an infinite. So sorry, that's my roommate's cat. Sorry about that. Um, Basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you play a 2-card infinite combo and grind me into the ground, that's very cool. I'm very impressed. I will be infinitely more impressed if you play 5 cards from 1996 that were never meant to be played in something like, modern Commander, and then destroy me with a million mermaids or something. I will, smile through it. I think that's awesome. I think that's what the game is about. All of this to say, this is a very long-winded, roundabout way of saying that each of these commander decks for the precons for this set, I think, are very gimmick heavy, and I think that is the reason, or at least one of the main reasons, that these are so fun to play. I like this is a Signet. This is cool. I think that's why they're so fun to play, because Aether Drift was kind of a weak set. There was only 2 commander decks. One of them being Energy, which poor Energy just... I don't think a lot of people play Energy. I don't think a lot of people are very interested in Energy. And when you're going to do something like release only 2 precons for a set, having one of them be something that the majority of people aren't playing, it's tough. It's you're kind of already shorten the population, and then on top of it, it's like, hey, by the way, here's a deck that nobody wants to play. And I'm saying that as I love Energy. I think Energy is a great gimmick. And then the other Aether Drift deck being Temet, I think was the correct name. That deck is really fun when you don't play Temet and you play Ashiton. I think I did a review of that deck on the channel. I'll have to show an updated Ashiton. That is probably my most gimmicky deck. I'm just going to draw a bunch of cards, I'm going to discard a ton of cards, and then we're going to just make a bunch of token copies. Okay, now I'm going to use a token doubler. Okay, now I'm going to, that is gimmicky, personified is this gimmick of discarding. So maybe if I haven't done an updated video on that, I'll have to go do that. Okay. Yeah, long story short, all of these commander decks kind of have a gimmick to them that make them interesting. I think Jeskai is kind of the short end of the stick, unfortunately. But I can see the bottom. I think maybe 1 or 2. Yep. Second to last, just a mountain. I'm not a big fan of these mountains in this art style. If you notice in some of my other deck list stuff, I like to use the older 90s and early 2000s arts. These just feel kind of boring to me. The art is cool, and I keep them because it's a precon, and they're part of the set, But I will probably, in my Hashiton deck, because it was Aether Drift, I kind of took the full art Aether Drift lands and replaced all the basic lands with those. I'll probably do that for this. If I can get some pack said everywhere near me it's completely sold out because this set is so popular. So I hope that I can get that. I'll have to put these in some clear sleeves as well. Let's open up our little deck box. Seeing the Aurora sleeves out in the open, the colors don't match as well as I wanted them to, but I think that's fine. Maybe I'll do a magic ASMR triggers video. Let's maybe if I do like this, reveal a little bit of my setup. We should be able to shuffle these up a little bit. So I like to do this kind of over the hand shuffle, mixing them up with my right hand and letting them slide in with my left. Again, if you're, I'm not sure how many people watch these videos that, I don't know what the ratio of people who are really into Magic versus people who've never played Magic and are just, clicking on ASMR videos is. I can't imagine every person who watches my videos plays Magic. If you're getting into it, I recommend Dragon Shields. There are other options. Ultra Pro makes great cards. I've heard good things about katanas, but for me, I like a bright, obnoxious color. You gotta go with the Dragon Shields. That being said, when you buy a new box of sleeves and put your deck in them, I will legitimately just sit and shuffle them for a while, because not only are they going to be full of air, but they are so slick out of the box that it is ridiculous. So you kind of want to, like that, you see I'm like slipping and dropping them, and I like to think of myself as kind of a professional. Just like rough them up on the edges, give them a little bit of grip, beat them in. So, and just like that, we take them, get the bottom of our box. Yeah, like I said, the colors don't match as well as I wanted. We'll put Shiko and Narset on the front. Boom. Boom. And now I can give my fiance a little gift. Hey, come play Jeskai. I'm going to play Mardu. Cool. If you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a ton. It's free. If you want me to review this deck, as opposed to just kind of open it, comment that too. I would love to. I have some big plans on decks I'm going to ruffle through and talk about and the whole thing. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.